Hey, Dr. B, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. So excited to be here.
I am super excited to have you on our newest podcast, which is called the Fertility Coaching Mastery Podcast. And we are talking to practitioners today or those that want to pursue a career in the fertility space. So I'm super excited to get started.
Awesome. I love speaking with other coaches and practitioners as well. There's so much we can glean from each other.
Yes, for sure. So let's just kind of dive in. Tell us a little bit about your work and how you got started.
Yeah, so really it dates back to my childhood for me. So I had a lot of chronic health issues growing up and was just kind of passed through the conventional medical system. So when I was in my senior year of college, my holistic doctor finally gave me a diagnosis of Lyme disease and was able to help me get back into remission. So after that experience, I knew immediately that going to naturopathic medical school was what I was called to do. I changed my major my last semester, added a bunch of classes, so I was able to enter med school that fall. And throughout that process, I had this hope of being able to do infectious disease, help others with Lyme disease, and God had other plans for me. So my focus throughout school became healing my own hormones. I had actually been told as a teenager that I'd probably never get pregnant because of all the stress and strain that Lyme had taken on my body. I was barely getting a menstrual cycle and my hormones were all over the place. So I really set out throughout medical school to just bring my fertility back, restore my fertility, and heal my hormones. And throughout clinical years, that is exactly what I attracted was other women trying to get pregnant or heal their hormones. So I discovered that I actually loved doing that. I was grateful to be able to have healed my hormones. And then when I met my husband and we were ready to have a baby, we struggled with no fertility issues, which was such a blessing. So just developing this passion throughout that period of fertility. And I think oftentimes couples are just really dismissed in the world of infertility. They're really sent to IVF all too soon, in my opinion, slapped on this label of unexplained infertility, put on all these meds that just impact their mood and their lifestyle and their ability to connect with themselves, their spouse, the world, and everything. So I really created my practice New Eve just to be able to help couples know that this is a safe place where we are truly going to do root cause care. I see a lot of, I'm very Catholic and I see a lot of other Catholic and Christian couples. I created my practice New Eve because I'm Catholic and I work with a lot of Christian couples. And in the Bible, Adam and Eve is referred to as the fallen Eve and the one that, a lot of sin stem from. And our Mother Mary is referred to as the new Eve, the redeeming Eve. So I created New Eve, and the name New Eve really falls in suit with just helping women know that God has placed a new Eve within her and that He plans
Mhm.
to redeem and restore her femininity, her womanhood, and her fertility as well.
Oh my gosh, so amazing. I love all of that. And I love that the work that you do because this is why I got into the work that I do. This was my story. I was dismissed. I was slapped with unexplained infertility. I was told IVF was my only option. And I was like, no, that there's got to be a better way. And so I healed and optimized and got pregnant twice and had two healthy babies. And so I just love the work that you do. It's so needed. And I think every woman in the world and every couple in the world needs to hear this message. So I'm so excited that you're here today and you're sharing that with all of us and just such a beautiful story and testament.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And I love your fertility journey too. That sounds like quite a journey, but praise God for two
Yes,
healthy babies.
exactly. Praise God. I love it. So let's talk about functional testing because this is something I also was not given to me. And it's one of the things that I do in practice now. And I think it's so important. So just talk to us about the basics of what are the difference between our blood work that maybe the conventional medicine doctors are doing versus functional labs that, you as a naturopath are doing.
Absolutely. So a lot of conventional doctors will say, well, usually you have to like pull teeth, I feel like, to even get labs done. And then when you convince them to do labs, it's, told that, oh, it's comprehensive. And really it's like a CMP, a CBC, maybe some basic hormones. And if you're lucky, they'll maybe time it throughout your cycle, but more oftentimes than not, they will not. So, functional labs really we're doing very comprehensive blood work on all of the hormones. We're looking at not just sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. We're also looking at the thyroid. We're looking at adrenal. We're looking at some hormones produced in the brain like prolactin. So, we're really getting a full picture of hormone health. We can look at different infectious diseases, different viral loads. We can just see a much fuller picture of the body, and that's just with blood work. So, other functional labs that I really love to run are microbiome testing. So, gut
Mhm.
microbiome testing, vaginal and uterine microbiome testing, and then even if we need to, looking at, things like mold, or if we need to see epigenetics, we can do like a Dutch panel to see how our genes are impacting our hormonal expression. So, really, functional testing, I think of it as seeing how the body truly functions. We're not just scratching the surface. We're looking at all of the avenues and putting the puzzle together completely and not just, gathering random pieces.
Sure. And two, I wanted to point out, and I'm sure you can agree with this, but the levels that we're looking at with conventional blood work is usually like normal, I put in quotes, levels, whereas you as a naturopath and myself included we're looking at optimal. So can you speak to that for a minute? How are those kind of how the tests are read even different?
100%. So I usually remind people that lab reference ranges were determined based off of studies on middle-aged white men. And that is
Mm.
very different than a woman in her reproductive years and what optimal is for her throughout the cycle. Because when you get just a random lab value done in your cycle, you're not going to know if it's normal for that phase in your cycle. So really, when we're reading optimal, we're seeing what is healthy for women of reproductive years, and tailored to that part of the cycle.
Yes, and I love that. And it's such a different way of looking at things. And also, I love too that, we're looking at the person as a whole, their symptoms, all of the systems, how they work together, and tying all that data together to really influence our protocols. And so it's just a different way of practicing medicine and getting to that true root healing. So I love that. And you spoke on a couple of different labs, but do you have one that's maybe your favorite? You say, maybe microbiome testing or the Dutch test. Talk to us about your favorite one and why is that your favorite?
Awesome question. I could have a whole episode talking to you just about the GI map. I
Yeah.
love a good GI map, which is going to be more a gut microbiome testing. I do like to look at other microbiomes. Like there's a lot of times where doing like a vaginal swab to see the vaginal microbiome can be helpful. That being said, GI map comes to the top of my list every single time because the health of our gut microbiome determines the health of all of the other microbiomes in the body. It will determine the foundation of our vaginal microbiome, our uterine microbiome, the microbiome on our skin, in our sinuses. Like every part of us really has a microbiome that we don't think about, and it all is reflected based off the health of our gut microbiome. So I really, if I could just pick one test, it would be a GI map for sure.
Yeah. Same. I love to do a microbiome analysis, the GI map, and just really getting in there and looking at how are those microbes affecting our overall health. And a lot of times I like to point this out to people too, and I'm sure you can agree, but sometimes our only symptom is infertility. I've had people with no gut symptoms and they're like, why are we running this again? And I'm like, just trust me. And then we find stuff. And so can you speak to that for a minute? You're shaking your head. So I'm assuming you agree.
Absolutely. I will also say too that I like to do a GI map in both the husband and the wife because
Yeah.
usually you're passing microbes back and forth.
Yes.
And oftentimes, like I had one couple, they had been trying for quite some time.
Mm.
The wife's GI map came back pretty great, but the husband actually had H.
Yeah.
pylori. Once we treated that, they were able to get pregnant the month after they completed the H. pylori protocol. So
Yes.
really, we want to, yeah, sometimes, and I always tell people too, infertility is not a syndrome, it's just your symptom. Like it is a symptom and it can be healed. So it doesn't have to be a label that you think you're going to have forever. Really, it's just a
Mm.
symptom.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. And I had that same exact thing happen with multiple
No
patients where
way.
it was the husband and not the wife. And he also was like, well, the one I'm thinking of, he was a healthy eater. He was like no gut issues. And I was like, but they had unexplained infertility. And so we checked and that was what it was. Yeah. And they ended up getting pregnant. Their little baby is now 3. So yeah. Oh, I love it. So we've talked a lot about functional labs. So talk to us about to the coaches or practitioners listening of, why would they want to add functional lab testing to their practice? Say maybe they're a new coach. How has your practice changed once you added this type of testing?
Yeah, I think success rates skyrocketed when we started developing better testing methods. So, and when I started pursuing more training in specific tests. So, like pursuing the FEM organization was a big piece of me of learning how to test and what time to test and how to read it. And then obviously the training in my naturopathic program, but then even going further and getting specific fertility mentorship on just testing can go so far. So, one, it really helps success rates. But when you have better success rates, your confidence as a
Mhm.
practitioner will also skyrocket. You feel great in yourself. You feel so grateful to God. It's the
Mhm.
biggest way to just fill your cup is to watch another couple grow their family and experience that redemption and joy after that season of infertility. So really it's just, yeah, it's all around just amazing. Once you improve success rates, your confidence increases. And then I really am so big on God will just bring the people into your life that need you. So once that happens, you can sell a little bit more successfully because you know what you're offering.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with all of that. I also think it helps with referrals because the more you work with people and the more your work is amazing and you're getting helping people with the results, the more they tell their friends and their family. And so you can help more people and just expand your reach. And so it's just a win-win for everybody. So I love that. Amazing. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your business. And, I want to talk about if you had any advice for somebody listening that maybe they were thinking about starting a business, they were thinking about pursuing fertility as their niche, what would you say to that person? And what do you wish somebody had said to you when you first started your business?
Yeah, I would definitely tell them. And what I would also tell myself would be
Yeah.
invest in a good team and invest in some good training. Because if you love this topic, you really need to boost your knowledge and you need somebody that has training that's going to teach you updated research. There's a lot of great programs out there. There's one like Napro Technology is pretty big and it does help a lot of people. But protocols haven't been updated since the book was written in the 1950s, and research has come very far in the last 70, 80 years. So I would say invest in good mentorship, invest in good training, and somebody that is really qualified, has some good success stories under their belt as well, and can really teach you.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I always talk about get somebody that's one or two steps further than than you are and watch them and let them mentor you and show you how to get there. You can go faster and further if you have mentorship. So I love that you say that. How about regrets? Any regrets you have in your business? Maybe you want to share a mistake you made so you can save somebody else from making that same mistake.
100%. I always say naturopathic medical school in general trains you to be a really, really awesome doctor. It does not teach you how to be a good business owner.
Yes.
So one thing I would tell myself and anybody would be assemble a good business team sooner
Yeah.
rather than later. Because really getting the systems in place will free up more of your time so that you can focus on what you love, which is helping people get pregnant. So assembling a really, really solid team to help you put together the right business systems and optimizing that. And so that it's a well-oiled machine. So you just can have more and more and more time to focus on what you love.
I love that. And I completely agree. And I feel like a lot of us come out of school and we're very good at clinical, but the business piece we need to learn. And so that's one thing I put inside my fertility coach program where we certify our coaches. It's a big piece around business and marketing and social media because that just wasn't there when I was coming out of school. So I was like, how can I create this for others? So I love that you said that. And it's so important for anybody wanting to pursue this career. Yeah. Or even starting a business, not so much even being a fertility coach or pursuing fertility coaching, but starting a business in general. There's a lot to learn. So I love that you say that. What about one thing that you're proud of that you've done in your business?
Oh, such a good question. I would say, I would say just the couples that we've been able to help and to impact. I think I think I said before, the biggest way and the fastest way to fill my cup is just to watch the impact that it has. So Praise to God, really. But I think that is the one thing that I'm the proudest of is just being able to work with these couples, seeing all the success stories that come from working with these couples, and then little babies entering the world. Like there just is nothing better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It never gets old to get a message from
No.
somebody that's been struggling and they're like, oh my gosh, I got a positive pregnancy test, or oh my gosh, I just gave birth, or like they're
Yes.
sending you their baby pictures. And it's just, oh my gosh, you can't even put it into words. It's just, it never gets old. I just love it. Any success stories that you want to share? Maybe a couple you've worked with recently, just to, just really share that energy with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I was working with one couple who she had actually lost her period for about a year and a half, and she's 28, so she was at the time. She had been told by her conventional physician, like, oh, you're just going into premenopause, you'll probably never have a baby. And she had only had one baby. They had dreamed of growing a nice big family. She was seemingly young and healthy on the outside, so was her husband. They were super confused. So we did a lot for them. She had very high prolactin levels that was shutting her fertility down. Her husband had quite a bit going on in his GI map, a lot of dysbiosis. And really, when we started working on those fronts, she was pregnant within 3 months, and they have now a really healthy baby boy that they gave birth to. So it's things like that. Oftentimes, we think that we just have to take what we're told in the conventional world as gospel, and it's not. Once we really do those functional labs and get a fuller picture of what's going on, things usually aren't always what they seem. So that's one of my reasons that has just been a favorite lately.
I love that. I love it. And I always tell my patients too, it takes one egg. Even people that are older, I have people in their mid 40s and late 40s that are getting pregnant. I'm like, it just takes one egg, and nobody is God. We don't know what he can do. And so he's in charge. And so you have to trust in that. So I love that. Love that story. So amazing. Like I said earlier, it never gets old. It's just a
Yes.
blessing. How about a strategy that you've used to grow your practice that maybe, was something that most people wouldn't think of, anything unique, or, share us a strategy you've used.
Yeah, I would say business coaching for me. Learning how to get better at marketing was a big piece of it because you can be the best fertility coach out there, but if you're not
Mhm.
reaching people, nobody's gonna sign up. You're not gonna have people to work with. So figuring out what works for me and and improving that over the years because I feel like marketing is constantly evolving and changing, and sometimes, like for me, running ads became a really great way to expand my business and get more reach. But even then, ads are constantly changing. So you're
Mhm.
constantly having to grow and evolve with that. So investing in some coaching just for marketing has been a game changer for me.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think marketing is so huge, and it's kind of nuanced. A lot of people aren't
Yeah.
trained in marketing, especially if you went to like a clinical school or naturopathic or functional medicine. But let's talk about ads because I know ads are a little controversial for some people. So talk to us first. What ads do you feel like worked the best? Was it Meta? Was it Google? YouTube? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I am pretty loyal to Meta ads, and they've been great for me. I have not dabbled in like YouTube or Google or anything like that. I feel like most of the time where people are spending a bulk of their time is going to be Facebook, Instagram, things like that. So I am pretty privy to Meta ads. That being said, Meta changes all the time.
Mhm.
So I am constantly having to evolve the ads, try new things, to see what's going to get a better reach. But I am a big fan of Meta ads for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. And we've used Meta before and we've used Google, and I love ads, but I will say you do have to have a strategy around it. So it goes back to hiring somebody who knows ads because it can turn into a black hole and it can turn into a faucet of money that's just going down that drain if you're not doing it right. So definitely investing in a coach that knows ads. And would you say it's important to, talking about a new coach or somebody who's kind of just getting into this business, do you think they should start with ads, or do you think they should try to get their organic reach up first, especially if they're coming in and they don't have a lot of money to spend on ads? What would you recommend there? And did you start with ads, or did you kind of grow your practice first organically and then go to ads?
Yeah. My biggest regret maybe is not doing ads sooner because I did not come in doing ads from the get-go. There was probably a good 6 months that I was not running meta ads and just trying to grow organically. And it was fine. You're reaching some people, but you do have to be very engaged. And I think you have to be very well versed in the different algorithms of Instagram and Facebook and the trends. And, it's great if you hit the jackpot and get lucky and go viral, but that's also not the case a lot of the
Yeah.
time. So I think it can be a great, I love growing organically. And I think that it's an important piece of the business, even if you are running ads, because people that are discovering you, then automatically, if they see an ad, they want to go to your page. They want to see what you're about. They want to know what you believe in. They want to know, am I just going to get told this is another dead end? Or is there something we can do? So I think growing organically is important, but for actually building a business and attracting all of the patients that you'd like to work with, for me at least, ads have been the biggest piece of that. So I would definitely do both. For me, growing organically was not super successful when I was solely doing that. And it took a lot of my time. And as a first-time mom, time is the most valuable to me. So I love running ads to be able to work on just getting a better reach. But I still think growing organically is super important because it builds rapport and it allows people to know if they can trust you or not.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. And then what would you say to somebody that is, scared to be, seen live or scared to go on social media and show their face and really put their message out there, especially for these newbies who've never done that before? Any, words of advice on what helped you in that regard?
Yeah, grounding my nervous system.
Uh-huh. Yes.
It is so scary to put
Yeah.
yourself out there and not know
Yeah.
how you're going to be received. And what I would say is just take it day by day, take it all in
Yeah.
stride, and don't be too hard on yourself. From years ago, I could look back on a post or a video I made and I'm like, wow, I would do things so different now.
Yeah.
But we all have to start somewhere, and you're not going to grow if you're too scared to just take that first step. So just start somewhere, be really, really easy on yourself, and just have that perspective, that growth mindset. Don't be in a fixed mindset. We want that growth mindset to know that you can always pivot. You are never fixed or stuck in your situation in life, including how you're running your business. You can always shift. You can always pivot to fit your season of life.
Yes, and that makes a lot of sense, and I know I can totally relate to that because I go back and look. I mean, I started in, let's see, 2016. Really, Facebook was kind of getting going.
Yeah.
Instagram wasn't really a thing, and I remember I used to go live and think, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous! Like, who am I to go live?" And I look back at those and I'm like, "Oh gosh." But you learn and you grow, and I feel like it's a muscle that you're just building. Every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier, and then before long, you'll be going live and just,
Yeah.
it's natural. Whereas when you first start, it's not. So I love that you say
Yeah.
that. How about any tools that you use in practice? Anything that, on the business side where you're like, this is a really valuable tool that helps me with the business piece of things?
Yeah, I would say for me, two in particular. So getting into more specifics, there is a company called Entreport that I love. They have been really crucial in connecting my business and putting all the pieces in one spot. They can connect my email list, they can connect all my payment pages, they can connect, just all my little landing pages. I can manage from one spot in Entreport.
Wow.
So that's been something that's been really helpful for me is definitely Entreport, I would say for sure.
I love that. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to look that one up. That
Yeah.
sounds very interesting. And you said you had another one. What's the second tool?
Yes. AI, I think has
I
been
was
huge for
I
me.
was just about to ask you, do you use AI?
I sure do. I sure do.
Uh-huh.
And I do think you have to be the creative brains behind it. You have to know what to feed it. But
Yeah.
especially on marketing it's not my favorite. I love being a doctor. I love connecting with couples, but the salesy part of things is not where I thrive. So when we're looking at like creating new content, if there's just a day where I'm like, man, I'm feeling so burnt out and all my creative juices are just tanked,
Mhm.
feeding AI a couple things like, hey, here's what I'm about, here's what I do. help, but
Mm.
it can
Yeah.
really generate some awesome ideas that you can just take and run with. So I am a big fan of AI.
Yes, same. And I think you kind of have to be now. You have to learn AI because if you don't, you're just going to get left behind. And I love it. I use it more and more every single day. My AI assistant is named Sage, and I'm constantly talking to her like, Sage,
Yes.
help me with this, help me with that. I was talking to her about the Zoom thing before we got on this call. So I definitely agree. You need to learn AI. And so I love that you said that. Maybe somebody's listening to this and they're feeling overwhelmed. They're thinking about starting a business, or maybe they're in business and they're pretty new. What would be a message of hope that you just want to tell that person so that they feel more relaxed as they build their business?
Yeah, I would say take a break if you need to. Not a long one, but something that I really like to do is I like to journal and just brain dump all my ideas, all my aspirations, and then I leave it there. I go to sleep for the night, give it 24 hours, and just let myself breathe and reset and ground my nervous system again. Because you will put it all together. And sometimes when we're so zoomed in, it can feel really overwhelming. But if we just step away, it can give us a lot of new perspective. So I would say if you're feeling overwhelmed, feeling a little bit lost, dump everything down on paper and just step away, even for 24 hours, and you'll come back to it probably with a brand new perspective and feeling a lot more motivated and confident.
I love that. I completely agree. Step away, give yourself a second, let your nervous system regulate, and then come back in. You'll feel that much better. I love it. We always do the second half of the show with top tips. So, what are maybe five non-negotiable business strategies that you want to tell our audience to pay attention to?
Yeah, so the first one would definitely be hire a good team. Hire
Yes.
a good team that can really teach you the business side of things or just manage it for you to free up extra time for you to focus on what you love. So and really assembling a good team, that would probably be number one. Second would definitely be use AI. Use AI. I would not just rely on your like raw knowledge. I would use AI to boost things up. There's a lot of info stored in AI about algorithms going viral, just so many things that are trending right now to get more reach. So I would use AI for sure. Third would be definitely boosting my social media, building that organic presence, getting good at DMing people, asking questions,
Mhm.
introducing yourself, welcoming them to your page, seeing how you can support them, just building rapport so that you are somebody that they feel like they can trust because it's really important if they're ever going to take tips from you, you want to be a trustworthy practitioner. So building those relationships by boosting social media. Four, I would say definitely getting good mentorship in your area of expertise. So making sure that you are on top of all of the new research, that you're updating your protocols often as new research is coming out, as you're seeing, different clinical practices, like if something's working or not working, you can shift gears. So really getting good at what you're doing and what you're offering so that you can be confident in what you're offering. And last,
Mhm.
I would say just getting a really solid system in place for the business side of things. So, like for me, Entreport's really huge. It keeps my business in all of my different systems, like a well-oiled machine. So, just getting a system in place that you feel confident in so that you're not manually doing everything because it'll save you a lot of time.
Oh, I love that. All of those tips are so practical. And a couple of things I wanted to touch on with the hiring the team piece. I know we talked about that earlier, and I know I want to just tell the people listening, if you are new, you can start small. You can be one person that you hire for $300 a month, and then you build from there. It doesn't have to be, this huge team all at once, but you want people that you can hire and that can grow with you. So I think that's a really important point to point out. And then AI, again, I want to reiterate, don't be scared of it. It's here, it's not going anywhere, and it's only going to get better. So just embrace it and learn it, and it will only help you as you build your business in the future. Yeah. And then the other three, I completely agree. We already kind of touched on that. Social media presence, getting a mentor, and building systems, I think are all very important. And I just love those practical tips. So thank you for those.
Of course, of course.
And then I do want to ask too, we talk a lot here about certification and getting credentialed. And so talk to us about that. What's your stance on, just having proper credentials and getting certified?
I think it's so
Yeah.
important, especially in organizations or methods that are really specifically fertility focused.
Yeah.
Because as we talk about getting really good at what you're doing and getting really confident as a practitioner, investing in those certifications, those are the organizations that are going to have the most updated research on testing, on protocols. So I think it is a non-negotiable, and I think it's super, super important.
Yes, I completely agree. It's and two, we always want to be learning. And so as especially clinical is changing and business is changing and the socials, we want to be learning. And so definitely getting certified and having credentials behind your name, I think is so important.
Absolutely.
So what about mindset? I know this is a big one too. A lot of especially new coaches will come in and they have that critter brain, like telling them, "Who do you think you are? You're not, you're not credentialed. You're not the right person. You're not good enough." So talk to us about mindset. How do we really change our mindset and come in with kind of squash all of that critter brain nonsense?
Yeah, I would take the pressure off of yourself. I think a lot of
Mm,
times we put this pressure on ourselves of like, who am I? And because you can't promise a pregnancy, And I think that's the hard thing is we want to, and we can give testimonials and success rates, but you can never promise a pregnancy.
yeah.
So really relinquishing that and just pouring all of your ounces of trust into God because He will help you, he will boost your knowledge, and you're really just there to walk with these couples and do the very best you can holistically. Like, we're not just trying to optimize fertility, we're trying to
Yeah.
optimize all the body systems. And then usually fertility comes back on its own when everything else is firing on all cylinders. So I would really just say pour your trust into God, take a step back, don't put all the pressure on yourself. We can't make promises. Even IVF, IUI clinics, like they don't even
Mm,
guarantee or promise pregnancies. So do the best that you can, but really it's in God's hands, not yours. So just
mm.
give everything that you do have and then leave the rest to Him.
Oh, I love that you said that. And it's so true. And I would love to hear your stance too on what you do when somebody doesn't get pregnant, when you're doing all the things, because this is a big one I hear from coaches and they think that they have to take on that, like, well, they didn't get pregnant and this is my fault. And so I talk to them a lot about we can't promise a pregnancy, just like what you said, but we're giving them the tools to help their body to be as healthy and as fertile as possible. And then pregnancy usually follows, but we can't control if it doesn't. That's in God's hands. So talk to us about that. How do you handle that in your practice?
Yeah, I would say two ways that I usually do is I'll start looking at deeper testing for them. So that's when we kind of start shifting gears more into maybe more like vaginal specific microbiome, or we'll do like genetic testing, things like that, kind of seeing like where are things being over or underexpressed. So we'll take a deeper dive into some of those more obscure functional tests. Also, I look a lot at the nervous system and
Mm,
past traumas because a lot of times the body could be doing a great job,
mm,
but what we're telling it in our head, that's really how it's gonna function. Our brain's connected to our nervous system. Our nervous system controls our organs. So if in our heads we're saying we can't get pregnant, we can't get pregnant, no way it's gonna happen,
mm,
that's what your body is going to respond to. So I do a lot with nervous system regulation and a lot of like gratitude journaling and kind of
mm,
like somatic releases to help the body not store those thoughts. We can feel the feeling, and then really
mm,
feelings just need 30 to 60 seconds on at most to move
yeah.
through our bodies. So letting ourselves actually feel it and not just trying to stuff down the thoughts, that will keep it
Mm.
there longer. So I teach couples how to take that approach, move it truly through your body and out of your body.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I completely agree on that too, because I see that a lot in practice where it's trauma, and we work to release the trauma, or maybe I recommend a therapist or a counselor, a hypnotherapist, and then, they're getting pregnant. So I love that you say that. And I think that applies too to if you're building a business, you have to let that mindset go of who am I?
Yeah.
I can't do this. This is so hard. And train your nervous system to calm. And so then that's the experience that you get. So I love that you say that. Oh my goodness, I could talk to you all day. We do have to start to wrap up. There's a few things I want to do before we close the show. First, I just want to tell you thank you so much. You've been such a wealth of knowledge and you've just helped this audience so much. So I appreciate you and all the work you're doing.
Absolutely. So happy to be here.
Yes, yes. And I love to play a little game with my guests where our audience gets to know you personally. So are you open to that?
Absolutely.
Cool. So it's called a lightning round, and I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. You're going to say the first thing that comes to mind, and you can pass if you want to pass.
Perfect. That sounds
Okay.
great.
All right. So, first question, your favorite way to reset after a stressful day?
Getting in nature for sure. We have a lot of fruit trees in our backyard. So going out in the back with my husband and my daughter, picking fresh fruit off the fruit trees,
Wow.
putting my bare feet in the grass, getting my eyeballs in the sunlight. Nature is the fastest
Mm.
way to reset my nervous system to help me regulate and ground again and just truly unwind.
Oh, I love that. That is like my dream is to live on a farm with fruit trees. So I
Oh,
love
good.
that. I'm always like, let's sell everything and buy some land.
Yes, I love it.
I love it. What is one piece of tech? We already kind of touched on this, but anything else you want to add? A piece of tech that you can't live without?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's definitely Ontraport. Just connecting
Mm,
all the systems is so crucial for me. So, or at
yeah,
least some kind of system that would connect all of your landing pages and payment pages and all of the things
yeah.
for scheduling. Just have everything in one place to make things easy.
I love that. And then what is one word that describes your current season in life?
Gosh, overflowing, I think.
Mm,
God has
yeah.
been really generous. I really feel like we are living in just a season of abundance, abundance of just simplicity, of healing, of joy, just a lot of abundance and overflowing for sure.
No, I love that. I love it. What is one thing you've invested in that was a game changer for your business?
Yeah, oh gosh, it has to be a tie between business coaching and coaching for fertility and regularly meeting with that mentor even after you're done the
Mhm.
program. It's really important, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So you had your own fertility coach during your journey? Is
I
that what
sure
you're
did.
saying?
I sure
Yeah.
did. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
because you
do
can't
so
treat, yeah, you can't treat yourself. I always tell my practitioners, you have to have your own practitioner and not, because it's so hard. You can't see it when you're
yeah,
in it. You have to have your own. So I love that.
so true.
Amazing. And then last question, what's one thing in life that brings you joy right now?
Probably my daughter. She's
Yeah.
our first little baby, and she's about to turn
No.
8 months, and she just is
Oh,
crawling, and her little personality is
oh,
coming out, and
I
just
love it.
watching her grow has been the biggest blessing in my life. It's been so good for me, my husband, our marriage, our family, and she's just the best.
No, I love that. And it goes so fast. Mine are 10 and 12. And I remember when they were 8 months and they were so cute and little. And I'm like, where did my babies go? But so soak up every single second of that because it does go
Yes,
fast.
absolutely.
I love it. Well, Dr. B, any final, well, first tell us where we can find you. Where can we learn more about your work? And then tell us any final thoughts that you might have.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at New Eve Health. Also, newevehealth.com or drkelseybarraza.com. So you can
Mhm.
learn more about me there. Either one is great. Reach out to me through DMs, shoot me an email, however is great.
Amazing. And you have a free gift for us too. Do you want to tell us about that?
Absolutely. So if you go to drkelseybarraza.com, that will take you to my free masterclass. So that shares a lot about my beliefs, my approaches to infertility, and how we will treat couples struggling with infertility. So that is there. If you're interested, I would love for you to give it a watch. At the end of the link, it also, if you align with my approach, it will give you the option to schedule a free consult. I always believe the first one should be on me to make sure that you're a good fit and that you feel comfortable with me and how I approach things. So would love to see anybody watch the masterclass and then hopefully pop on my schedule so we can chat more.
I love that. It's amazing. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave this audience with?
Yeah, gosh, I would just say trust God in everything. He has a plan for your fertility journey. He has a plan for your business.
Mhm.
He's got the plan already paved for you. So all you have to do is just enjoy the journey and keep taking the steps, and he'll guide the rest.
I love that. It's amazing. Well, thank you again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been such an honor.
And thank you to everybody who's listening to this episode of the Fertility Coaching Mastery Podcast. We're so grateful you're here. We hope you loved the show. Make sure you hit the follow button and subscribe, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode. So enjoy your week and bye for now.